Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. Wow, the last few months leading up to and following Geoff's passing at the end of March were incredibly challenging. Last year, Geoff and I celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary with our 3 beautiful children, their spouses, and our 4 grandchildren. Geoff was the epitome of positivity, and he will be best remembered for his visionary and problem-solving skills with his work, for his love of the outdoors and travel, and especially in the final years, his love and appreciation of family. Since Geoff's passing, I've had time to reflect on the many years of memories. And with the assistance of family, we've collated a collection of memories and photographs. I've written and dedicated the music that accompanies this to Geoff. I do trust you will enjoy sharing these memories with us and wish you all the best for now and for the future. Take care. Bye for now.
Hello, I'm John, Geoff's older brother. Let me introduce you to the young Geoffrey Arnold. He was born on a cold, gusty, wintry day in Melbourne. Have a look at this photo. We lived at Mercer Road, Armidale, in a stately old house right next to Huntingtower School. The earliest photo I've found of Geoff is at 5 weeks when Grandpa and Grandma Flint flew down from Brisbane. The next is at 5 months, Christmas time at Mercer Road, Armidale. And then, a year later, Christmas time 1954, the school and our family moved into a new 3-bedroom timber cottage in Mount Waverley. Then an outer suburb of Melbourne, adjoining apple and pear orchards. It was the first house on the estate. It was built in 6 weeks, from the foundations right through to us moving in. This photo, though, was taken in 1958, at Geoff's first day at school. The 1950s were a pretty good time in Australia for us kids. We had big yards, dirt roads, puddles to walk in after rain, and in winter, a layer of frozen ice on which to jump. It was a safe neighbourhood, wandering between houses, walking to school across railway lines with Dad in the morning, and by ourselves for an afternoon. One of our prized Christmas presents was the electric trains. Geoff's engine was the little black diesel shunting locomotive you see at the front, with a couple of freight carriages and a small-sized guards van. We used to set it up in bedrooms, hallways, lounge rooms, probably depending on the weather. Then when it was a nice sunny day, it was outside along the path at the front of the house. Geoff started kindergarten at school in 1958. With all close family in Brisbane, we had adopted Melbourne grandparents in Mr. and Mrs. Gordon. Jim was a Freemason and had been a ship's carpenter. He would tell us how he had worked on the staircase decorations of the Titanic. Evelyn was a maths teacher. Jim saw Geoff as the builder and left his shipboard trunk and tools to Geoff. They had a house at Anglesey, and Dad was agile and adept at being a builder's labourer. Geoff and I used to fill buckets of water and fetch tools, collect the offcuts. Now, offcuts were important because with a hammer and nails, we would create our own cars and boats. We spent many holidays and weekends at Anglesey. Our favourite pastime was rolling ourselves up into a ball at the top of the sandhills and hurtling downwards, often ending up with our teeth inflicting injury on our tongues, ouch, and blood. The next opportunity, we were at it again. The late 1950s, Australia was growing too fast. Slow down, said the government, so the brakes were slammed on in the economy. For us, the result in 1961 was Dad going to staff meetings at the end of each week to be informed how many shillings in the pound they would receive for the week's pay. Sounds like the current situation now in 2020 with the COVID-19 recession. For a family of now 5, there was no certainty. So back to Queensland we came, first to Toowoomba in 1962, then to Clontarf Beach later on in the year. At Clontarf Beach, my main memory of Geoff was his love of hockey. His hockey stick raced up and down in the backyard constantly. Geoff started at Brisbane Grammar in 1966. It was around a 45-minute drive over the Hornibrook Highway toll bridge, passing through Clayfield, over Junction Road to Gregory Terrace each morning. Afternoons, sometimes home with Dad too, otherwise by train to Sandgate and then bus to the beachfront. And then Mum would pick us up in her red Singer 9 sports car that turned up one day after Grandpa Greasley had a good day at the races. Now, look at this ad that was on the front page of the Melbourne Age on his actual day of birth. Wednesday, 29th of July, 1953. What a coincidence. A Singer 9. During 1966, we moved into the family home traditional family home of 121 Richmond Street, Gordon Park, when Grandpa and Grandma Flint retired to the Palm Beach house. So much closer to school and the city, with the number 57 tram straight outside. In 1967, Geoff had joined the BGS Air Cadets, where there was much more adventure than the Army Cadets, flying camps out at Amberley RAAF base. And at school, Geoff took up the family tradition of rowing, but both he and I did not achieve the great heights of both Father Graham and Grandfather Frank, who excelled at the sport, and Dad rowed for Queensland. After leaving school, an ANZ bank position was a fill-in role until he found a drafting job and commenced at a tech college past-time. A good memory around this time is that in December of 1972, he and I headed north to Cocktown in his new Mazda, camping along the way. We'd driven around my birth town of Rockhampton and Keppel Sands, went over to Keppel Island for a few days, camping on the beach. I remember particularly arriving in Townsville. No aircon in the car then. It was perishingly hot. We probably were hugely dehydrated too. We parked and went into a supermarket and stayed in there recovering. Cooktown was a sleepy little town practicing siesta time in those days, and it seemed every house had a bin out the front advertising free mangoes, help yourself. We collected a good bucketful and it became our staple diet for the next few days. Now on the Atherton tableland, sitting on a diving board on a crystal clear Lake Eacham, we finished our mangoes, dropping the seeds into the water for the huddled turtles awaiting every juicy seed. It was probably the next day we decided to start driving home. I think I went to sleep in the passenger seat somewhere between Mackay and Rockhampton at dusk. I woke up when we reached Gympie. He was definitely a safe hands driver. After Christmas 1972, I set off for Canberra to take up my graduate position with the federal government. And I'm not sure exactly when Geoff arrived in Canberra to be closer to Big Brother, but I do remember a housewarming party with three of my NCDC, National Capital Development Commission colleagues on the 10th of August 1973, where Geoff accompanied me. It was at this party that he met Joyce Fox and subsequently introduced her to me. Geoff would regularly visit while Joyce and I were building our house in Canberra, especially at lunchtimes, as it was only a kilometre or two from a favourite swimming hole on the Murrumbidgee River. Another work colleague had a small sailboat, and soon after, Geoff had his first Hobie cat, Bananas. Then the epic weekend trips, epic meaning 3,000 kilometres or so, to sail Bananas for the weekend. And then he went on to the larger Hobie cat Bananas to you. Looking through Geoff's photos of the 1970s showed him with adventure clubs, rafting down the Brisbane River, gliding, skiing, caving, canoeing, up in the high country, bushwalking. More boats came with a Hartley trailer sailor, canoes, kayaks, dinghies, and generally a life and love of the water. This, I believe, has been fuelled partly by Geoff's experience on the 5th of October, 1983, the day our dad called asking if Geoff would collect him from school. But more of that in a few moments. Since Joyce and I had moved to Melbourne 10 years ago, paradoxically, we have seen a lot more of Geoff. Being close to Brisbane Airport was a good place to garage the Gats and give Geoff and Julie use of the car too. This also corresponded to the period after the GFC, as Geoff had more time on his hands. He frequently came out to Gatton to help me with maintenance and mowing, and then over the last 2 years, the Renault has done many trips to Beerwah and Brisbane, helping firstly Linz, then Geoff. Physically, Geoff never let up. This photo of Geoff in the middle of a thunderstorm, brush cutting the lawn tells it all. 5:45, 20th of January 2020. Those weeks I spent with him at Eaton's Hill and Clayfield in January, February this year, where we both pushed the chainsaw, dragged free branches, cut tree trunks, loaded future firewood, visited the tip with rubbish and collected a $1 slushie at 7-Eleven on the way back from the last trip of the day, were punctuated by many memories over the last 7 decades. He spoke of that fateful day 36 years ago, driving past the Royal Brisbane Hospital, Dad simply talking about the weather and other nothing stuff, then slumping in the passenger seat. I think that occurrence had a profound effect on Geoff, and as I reminisce now, one that we should have spoken of much earlier and in a much greater depth. Until we meet again in heaven, little brother, I love you dearly. Goodbye, Geoffrey Arnold.
I will sing you a song of this love in my heart for all time. Yes, this love in my heart makes me glad I'm alive, and I just want to tell you I love you. I love you. So I will sing you a song of the joy that I've found since I met you. Yes, this joy that I've found makes me glad I'm alive, and I just want to tell you I love you. I love you. I never thought I'd find a love that had no end. Now you live inside my heart as a lover and a friend. Oh, I never thought I'd find a love that had no end. Now you live inside my heart as a lover and a friend. I will sing you a song of this love in my heart